Good evening, world. This is your brother Manning, and I hope you all have a great night, a blessed Wednesday, and also a rest of the week, and also weekend. Summer's coming within a week from now, so you can't. Summer is my favorite season. Okay, it's great. I love the summer. Anyway, now let's talk about, a couple of days ago, the Nuggets won their first ever title, and during the ceremony, in the interview, in a ceremony, Michael Malone, the coach of the Nuggets, said that the Nuggets said that we want more, basically saying that they should have a dynasty. And I do believe the Denver Nuggets could have a dynasty because this team is young. Jokic, I think, is in his prime. Is 28. Murray's 26. Gordon is 28. Pope is 30, and Michael Porter Jr. is around 24, 25. And you got these young players as well. So I think they have a shot of making a dynasty, because the last time that the NBA, in my opinion, had a real dynasty, you got to go way back to the 2000s with the Lakers, and back in 2009, because I believe Kobe, D. Fish, and Phil Jackson those three members were there during the early 2000s and all the way to 2009. So I'm going to give you, throughout the NBA history, there are a bunch of dynasties during that time, and I'm going to give you the example. The first is the Minneapolis Lakers, 1950s. In the early days of the NBA, the Minneapolis Lakers won 5 titles in a span of 6 years. It was led by George Mikan, who was a big man, who was one of the first true superstars in the NBA, who was a scoring champion a bunch of times during that time. And the Lakers were the first team who achieved a three-peat, not the Celtics, from 52 to 54. So the Lakers were had the first dynasty of the NBA when the franchise were in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The next team was the Boston Celtics, so 1957 to 69. The C's dynasty didn't begin. Began in 1957 when Bill Russell arrived. At that time, the Celtics were a very good team led by Bob Cousy and head coach Red Auerbach, but unfortunately, the Celtics were not a championship contender. At that time, we had the Lakers, the Rochester Royals, the Warriors, and even the Syracuse Nationals. Now, currently, the Philadelphia 76ers were champions. The Celtics didn't have the chance to do. And in '56, Bill Russell was drafted, and the team had that streak. From 59 to 66, they won a whopping 8 straight titles in 2 three-peats. And in which there was 9 out of those in 10 years, they won 9 championships. It was during which that, Bill Russell won 5 MVPs during that stretch. And then the Celtics had the streak ended in 67 by the 76ers, but the Celtics had a resurgence to 68, 69 when Russell was player coach. So basically, Russell was there throughout the whole 11 championship run, especially those last 2 years as player coach. So basically, the Celtics had a great decade in the 60s, winning 9 out of 10, except 1967, they were thrown by Wilt's 76ers. The next team of the dynasty was the 1980s Lakers. It really began in '76 with the arrival of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. At that time, Jabbar was a multiple MVP, multiple scoring. I think he won a scoring title and a rebound title, as well as the NBA champion in 1971 when he was with a member of the Milwaukee Bucks. In his first few years with the Lakers were good, but they were not good enough to win a championship. Then in 1979, the Lakers drafted Magic Johnson as the number 1 pick, and the franchise changed forever. And, the next decade, the Lakers would win 5 titles, and including a back-to-back, something they hadn't had since the last era of the last pitch of the the Russell era. I mean, throughout the majority of those titles, Magic, Kareem, and also Pat Riley, who was assistant of the first title won in '80, was there throughout, and he was coaching the rest of the four championships. So basically, Riley was there throughout the basically. Riley, Johnson, and Jabbar was there throughout all five titles of the 1980s. The next dynasty was the Chicago Bulls in the 1990s, including two three-peats. The Bulls became the first in '93. The Bulls became the first team since Russell Celtics to achieve a three-peat, and then they did it again in '98, becoming the second, to win their three-peat for the second time. And throughout that stretch, you had all the six championships. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Phil Jackson, all the three members were there during those six championships. Okay, and during which that Michael Jordan led the league in scoring and become an All NBA, All First Team, as well as All Defensive teams in those six championship runs. And Scottie Pippen was a four-time All-Star during those championship runs, as well as becoming had a bunch of All NBAs and also all NBA defensive teams during the stretch. And then the last dynasty, like I said, was the Lakers teams in the 2000s. In the early 2000s, 2002, they won three in a row, led by Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. They ended the decade by winning the fourth championship in 2009 with Kobe, Derek Fisher, who was there during the first repeat, and head coach Phil Jackson. And so basically, Phil Jackson was part of two teams that had three peats, with the Bulls in the '90s and the Lakers in the 2000s. Now, here's the honorable mentions. There are teams that had a stretch that had won titles, but I don't consider them as dynasties. I'll give you an example. The San Antonio Spurs. Yes, they won three titles in the 2000s, but they didn't win back to back. Okay? If you look at those titles, they won it in the odd years, 2003, 2005, and 2007, and even won the first one in '99, the last year of that decade. Tim Duncan was there the majority of those titles, as well as the recent one back in 2014. And during that three championship runs, Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker, and Proscribe and Popovich was there during that time. And then we'll look to the 2010s. I wouldn't consider them as a dynasty, but they have the most titles of the decade was the Golden State Warriors. They won three of them, including back-to-back in 2017 and 18. And during those run, you only Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala, and Coach Steve Kerr. Kevin Durant was there those two titles in 2017-18, and and the recent one last year in 2022. So there you have it. That's my videos of the NBA's dynasties. If you like this, feel free to comment. Listen, feel free to comment if you like, agree or disagree. I feel appreciative. And also, if you like this video, please do, and also feel free to comment about it, whether you agree or disagree about my takes on dynasties. And speaking of it is this day on 1998, Michael Jordan led the Chicago Bulls to their sixth and final NBA championship, and also by the reminder, this Saturday, the second part of the 4-team annual Multicultural Festival is going to be in Harlem between 141st Street and 145th Street in St. Nicholas. It's free. You should come. Please feel free to invite family and friends. So there you have it. I hope like I said, good night and have a blessed night.